All right, guys. So we are here for Apple earnings. I'm sorry, I'm a couple minutes late today. We've been working on a video. I don't know why my chart's still kind of black and white, but hey, that's all right. Let me know how the volume is. Let me know how that stuff sounds. We should be good to go. We got Apple earnings going live very, very soon. Very, very soon. Let me get some headphones on. I haven't honestly. I had to go find my AirPods real quick. And yeah, we got Apple Q1 earnings today, guys. Apple Q1 earnings. Apple is one of the most heavily weighted stocks in the S&P and the NASDAQ. So, yeah, be ready here. I'm just going to use these. All right, so let's get this started. Let's do some sound checks, make sure we're good to go. I think we should be good. Volume good? Let me know if you can hear the music. So Apple today, guys, is expecting $2.36 per share EPS on revenue of $124 billion. We also have Intel, Visa, Deckers, KLA, Canadian National, Baker Hughes, SkyWest, US Steel, and more dropping their earnings today. It's honestly a pretty big day. Let me see if I can turn myself from pale John to normal John. Hold on. Filters. No, that doesn't help. Alright, that's a little bit better. I'm still kind of reddish, but that's alright. We'll be red. And again, guys, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. We got a lot of people thanking me for yesterday's streams. Yeah, we made that work yesterday, man. That was a long day. Appreciate it. Lost and found. Thanks so much, man. Intel 2. Sounds good? Good. Yeah, we got a video debuted after this stream as well, so stick around. A lot of stuff going live. Let me make sure this stream is good to go. We should be alright. Yeah, we also have big reports for Intel plus more. Remember, nothing here is forward-looking, guys. Before we get started, remember, nothing here is forward-looking. We are not investment professionals. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Do not copy me. This content is for entertainment purposes only, and my wins or losses may be done off-stream. I might lose off-stream, basically. Don't copy me. Understand CFTC 4.41, hypothetical or simulated performance have limitations, guys. I am not an investment professional. And so as long as you guys understand that, we can get rid of the disclaimer. And, yeah, we're going to talk about what Apple is planning for earnings today. Oh no, I've turned off the... There we go. Okay, so again, Apple today, chat, is expecting $2.36 EPS. We'll put this up on screen now instead of the GDP. Apple expects $2.36. We'll take a look at their revenue graphs, their earnings, and all that good stuff coming soon, chat. On revenue of 124. There we go. Man, the market is churning up here today, bro. Look at Meta. Down a little bit, but honestly, look at the NQ, man. NQ's riding back up. So the NASDAQ's fighting back today. Sounds good. What's up, guys? Hey, what's up, Kay? What's up, Rojas? What's up, Kareem? What's up, Esteban? Alan, Lost, Pawn, Plus, Alan Newton, Ryan, Wilfredo. What's up, chat? Let's do a poll here, guys. Vote on the poll. There's Apple. beat or miss their quarter one earnings today. Beats, miss. Vote on the poll. Let me know how you feel. There's the poll. It's live right now. Yeah, we're gonna be here all day basically, chat. So just be ready here. Be ready. We might mute the background a little bit as we work on some stuff. The good thing about this computer is that I can work on stuff. Like my monitor's like so large, top 3 largest ever, that I can kind of work while I do this too, which is cool. Yeah, Apple riding up. What's the rest of the market doing here? Pop out the chat. I didn't get the blue belt yet. The promotion's not actually there, but I passed the blue belt exam, which is good. I went and trained today too in Nogi. But I appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much. Yeah, we're trying. Again, y'all hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Thanks so much. Cause yeah, we're here. Yeah, no, Apple will release sometime randomly after the close. So sometime randomly after the close, Apple's going to cover, or Apple's going to release. Technically, it's scheduled for 4:30 today, but truly, we don't know. All right, here's Apple's EPS graph. Right, so here's Apple's EPS graph. Again, people were saying just not that long ago that Apple was going to get kicked out of the Magnificent Seven and all this nonsense, bro. Honestly, their last quarterly EPS wasn't good. It was only 97 cents a share. What are they expecting today? They're expecting $2.36 a share, which would be their strongest quarter ever. And this is something I told people the last time, man. Like last time people were acting like, again, Apple was just some super hyper weak company. And I was telling them, no, it's not like that at all. Again, if you don't think Apple's strong, you don't understand markets. Because look, so just to put this into perspective, if they even come in anywhere near their, come on, pen. Okay, I'm gonna have to reset Epic Pen apparently because it doesn't feel like transferring my monitor over, but that's okay. If Apple comes in anywhere near their expected EPS at $2.36, they're gonna do pretty good, and they're gonna have their strongest quarterly EPS ever. Just to put that in perspective, I'll try to draw it up now that I had to reset Epic Pen. There it is. All right, so yeah, if Apple comes in better than expected today, or as expected even, they're gonna have quarterly. So this is 218. They're expecting 236 today. So they're expecting really like way up here is what they're expecting. And so if Apple comes in anywhere near expected, it's going to have its strongest quarterly EPS ever. And the next notch on this chart is going to look like that. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I don't freaking know, right? But EPS is expected at its strongest quarterly margins ever. Now Apple revenue, if we take a look at revenue graph here. Yeah, so today for revenue, they are expecting $124.1 billion in revenue, which again, if they come in anywhere close to, if they come in, it's not going to be their strongest. Oh, wait, it is. So yeah, if they come in as expected for quarterly revenue, they're going to have their strongest quarterly revenue ever. And the next candlestick will look something like this. Right, so again, that's if they come in as expected. We don't know if they're going to come in higher, lower. It's certainly possible they come in lower. I'm not guaranteeing anything. Nothing here is forward looking. But Apple, if they come in as expected, will have their strongest quarterly metrics ever. And so let me know what you guys think. What do you guys think? Check out Nike. Do I trade secured overnight financing rate? No, not really. They're supposed to announce them sometime after the 4 p.m. closing bell. It's technically scheduled for 4:30, but we really don't know what time they're going to release, in all honesty. All right, guys. Apple earnings. Be ready. Here, let me switch this up. And then tomorrow we have GDP data coming out. Or no, tomorrow we have PCE inflation data. I feel like they put up these crazy expectations, but most of the time not reaching them. Yeah, that's possible. I mean, I don't know. Apple usually hits them, I think, right? I gotta get some coffee. All right, vote on the poll, guys. What do you guys think? Yeah, the market's definitely bouncing back a lot right now. I don't have my blue bell yet, bro. Everybody keeps congratulating me. I don't have it yet, man. I keep telling everybody that congratulates me, like, look, I don't have it yet. Technically. You know. Beat or miss, guys. Beat or miss for Apple earnings. What do you guys think? Again, the thing about Apple is that their earnings call is scheduled for 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's the only thing about Apple. Where's Bitcoin at today? What has Bitcoin done? Not much going up. Has it really? So I know yesterday after the Fed meeting, they were asked a question about Bitcoin, and Jerome Powell had some more optimistic looks at Bitcoin. So, what are your thoughts after the Tesla call? I thought it was incredibly bullish. Tesla to 500. Yeah, I mean, I think it's good. I think we're still pretty early, though. We'll see what the true reactions are. I think Meta had a really interesting one because, like, Meta had dipped a lot, had bad EPS, or Meta had great EPS, great revenue, still dipped. Really nice bounce back. Tesla dipped a lot this morning and then came back. Again, the big story of markets, guys. If you guys want to know what to listen for in markets, PCE inflation data drops tomorrow at 8:30 in the morning. We're going to stream the whole thing like we always do. That's a massive, massive release. Massive release that you probably want to be ready for, because that's a huge freaking release, man. And so just be ready. Yeah, Apple earnings are important. I'm trying to see what Apple is weighted in the S&P, but it's pretty deeply weighted, I'd say. Again, I could hype up the earnings call for you. All right, guys. So Apple here is a pivotal moment for the tech giant. Apple is set to release its Q1 earnings, and all eyes are on the tech behemoth as it kicks off 2025 with super high expectations. Again, its highest quarterly EPS and revenue ever. It's more than just numbers. It's a pulse check on the health of the world's most valuable company and a key indicator of the broader stock market today, guys. That is why today is important. iPhone 15 and holiday sales impacts are going to be on everybody's mind. Apple's latest flagship device, the iPhone 15 and 15 Pro models, had their first pull of quarterly sales, boosted by holiday demand. Or will they have shattered expectations, or will they surprise everybody on the upside? Mac and iPad demand is another thing to pay attention to. After a sluggish 2024 for Apple iPad and Mac demands, did Apple's refreshed Mac lineup, including the M3 chips, drive a rebound in sales? Is the other question that you want to pay attention to today. Apple's fastest growing segment, including iCloud, App Store, and Apple Music, is going to be what we want to pay attention to. But also Apple TV, one of the big movers in streaming. Let's listen to see what happens with Apple TV. And again, we're going to stream it all live. We're going to stream the entire earnings call, the entire earnings report. The reason we have thousands of people that watch these streams is because we cover it quickly. And again, Apple TV Plus, iCloud, App Store, Apple Music, they're expected to deliver record revenue, pushing Apple deeper into the subscription-based models. China and global performance. With regulatory hurdles and increased competition in China, Apple's international sales could be a wild card in this earnings release. And so one of the big metrics you want to look at is overseas sales for Apple. Apple's been on a strong run. The earnings report could determine its next big move. And again, I would pay attention to overseas, global, and China sales for Apple devices. Apple at the center of the AI revolution as well, potentially ecosystem dominance and premium brand power. This report is super essential for markets. Again, if I look at Apple and see what it's weighted for in terms of the NASDAQ, Apple makes up 8.75% of the NASDAQ 100. Again, almost 10% of the NASDAQ 100. At least that's what AI says. Is that right? That's a huge percentage. Now, somebody else is saying around 9.4% as of January 28th. Is Apple that heavily weighted? Let me see the wait list on the NASDAQ. Okay, so Apple is at the very top. Yeah, 9.11%. 9.11%, followed by Microsoft, Nvidia, Amazon, Broadcom, Meta, Tesla, Google, Costco, Netflix. If we look at the Apple weight on the S&P 500... Apple is weighted 7+% on the S&P 500, followed by Microsoft at 6.54%. If we look at number one, Apple is the most heavily weighted stock in almost every index, I should say. It's over 7% in the S&P. It's over 9% in the NASDAQ in terms of weight. What does that mean? That means that today's Apple earnings report will absolutely move markets. Absolutely move markets. Oh wait, is it fourth quarter earnings? Do I have it wrong? I'm showing first quarter by The Guardian. The Guardian says it's the first quarter of AI says it's the first quarter. The only place I should check is just Apple. Yeah, this is Q1 2025 results, guys. I'm sorry about the music, honestly. Annoying. I don't know why. Yeah, this is Q1 results, guys. This is Q1. It's not Q4. Yeah, sorry, I gotta exit out of some stuff. I really genuinely have too many freaking... Alright, let me exit out of this. There we go. Alright, we're here. Let me find... I got too many windows up right now, chat. I really do. I got so much stuff up right now. Let me exit out of this. And we'll leave this one up too. And we'll just combine these two. Yeah, it's Q1. It's first quarter. So, CK, you are wrong, sir. Earnings directly after market close. Well, technically, they're scheduled for 4:30 market time. 4:30. But we'll see. You never know. They could honestly release them anytime they want, to be honest. So they genuinely could release them whenever they want. Yeah, look at this pullback on the NASDAQ here in Aapl. So what a dip on Aapl and the NASDAQ here. Looking at our poll number, 63% think they're going to beat. 37% think they're going to miss. I haven't even pulled up Discord here. Let me pull this up right now. Look at this drop going on in markets right now, though, guys. Market's dumping. All right. So somebody's asking, how can they report Q1 when the quarter's still running? Because their fiscal year is different than the calendar year. It's not the same. So it refers to Q1 of their fiscal year, not necessarily the calendar year. Some companies use the calendar year. All right, something's going on right now, chat and markets. All right, so the president announced Canada and Mexico tariffs because of fentanyl, is what he said, is what I'm showing. Again, we got PCE inflation data tomorrow, guys. Amazon raises its ad spending on X. See, what you see, what's kind of funny is, like, you see a lot of these big tech companies all of a sudden starting to kind of, like, pander to the current administration. And they historically were not really sided with it. And so now Mark Zuckerberg said in his earnings call yesterday how friendly he was with the current administration and how much he was so happy. And now Amazon's increasing their X spending. I can't really knock them for it. They're just trying to go with whoever has power. I get it. The president also said, let me see. So yeah, the president just spoke. He said he announced Canada and Mexico tariffs because of fentanyl. Looks like doomsday. I mean, when in doubt, zoom out. You know, it's like silence. It's the end of the world. You know. Oh no, not this drop. We're still technically green on the day too. Here's the previous closing price. Okay, this is the level at which we closed yesterday. We're above that still, technically green on the day. And so it's certainly not doomsday yet. Yeah, yet. We'll see though. All right, guys, we got about 300 people here. We still got about 20 minutes left before the earnings start. All right, So we dipped. Now we're back up a little bit. It's got to be the tariff news. All right, so basically what's going on? Yeah. So the president threatened to implement 25% tariffs on goods imported from Canada and Mexico and an additional 10% overseas in China, which he subjected to tariffs under his first. They've threatened to levy retaliatory tariffs on the U.S. in consequence. I don't know if that's causing these drops. But, yeah. Did he tweet? No, he didn't tweet. I don't see any other news. I usually get news pretty fast, like immediately. I don't see it. All right, now the market's technically red. I mean, we could look at stocks to see if anything's over, like Netflix. No. Apple was a pretty big drop. Microsoft. No. Meta. No. No. Am I missing one? Let me get a look at Tesla. Tesla's down some. Market turned. I'm not sure why. It's got to be tariff news, I guess. Boeing spokesperson. I don't see any other news. Starbucks increases pay to over $30 an hour for most store workers, according to Bloomberg. Baker Hughes raises quarterly dividend to 23 cents a share. Honestly, I never knew Baker Hughes was Howard Hughes, the aviators company. Or part of theirs, at least. At least it's like a spinoff. Again, market's still dropping. NASDAQ's still dipping here. If I put up Apple back up. Dude, I think I've typed on this computer so much that it literally broke the lights. The lights don't work anymore, man. My keyboard. The keyboard still works. The lights don't, though. Must be chomping away at it. Alright, guys. Market's still down. Apple's still down here. Yeah, $30 an hour seems kind of excessive. Yeah, it just seems a little excessive there, right? All right, so we're pushing back a little bit here, consolidating. On reports, yeah, so basically the market is down on reports that the president is going to announce 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico because of fentanyl. The dollar soared to session highs with G10 FX hit as Canadian dollar and others lag. U.S. equity futures and treasuries sold with oil rising to session highs. So yeah, it's the tariff news. Looking at the NASDAQ, it just kind of gave back a lot of the gains that it originally put in. And maybe Apple can either exacerbate these problems or they can make it better. We sometimes see both. Yeah, we sometimes see both. I get my news from a bunch of different sources, to be honest. Y'all do me a favor, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. If you haven't already, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Everything we do here is free, doesn't cost anything. We have no paywalls behind content. Everything we put out there is free. We don't charge for anything. We don't sell a course. I don't even claim to be a good trader. In fact, I tell people I'm the worst trader of all time ever in the world right now. Do not copy me. I have no freaking idea what I'm talking about. If you copy me, you might lose. But if you want somebody that reports all the economic data as soon as it comes out, subscribe. You know you want to. Try it one time. Anyways, I get a mix of Market Watch. You know, I use a bunch of different ones. Your observation yesterday was the first move. Your observation yesterday that the first move isn't always the right move was spot on. I have to remember that. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's not really my observation, right? I would love to take credit for that, but this is a very well-known trading dynamic of like movement. It's a psychological pattern. All right, mania, then crashes. Short term, not like actual like genuine market crashes, but like big runs up, big pullbacks. It's pretty standard. I would love to say I would love to be credited with that, but it's pretty well known. It depends on what I'm trading swing. So I'll do market orders and futures and funded account programs. I use limit orders and other stuff depending on what I'm trading. Why did the markets fall suddenly? Because the current administration said they're going to put tariffs on Canada and Mexico. 25% tariffs. So the market dumped on that news. All right, guys, we got 10 minutes before the market closes. And then Apple earnings are scheduled to release anytime after that, really. Again, we're going to cover them live right here, as we do. Apple's going to tank. Are you guys bullish or bearish on Apple? 56% out of hundreds of votes think they're going to beat. 45% currently think they're going to miss, so it's 55-45. Just be careful. Earnings can be volatile, if nothing else, right? So just be careful. I really don't know, and I think it's super hard to predict, and I think there's a lot of variance. I think companies can, like Meta yesterday reported better than expected EPS, revenue, and guidance, and they dropped pretty big at the drop of earnings. Tesla missed EPS and revenue went up, and so sometimes earnings reactions can be nonsensical, or I'll say sometimes they can seem nonsensical. They make more sense when you take into account like the real movement's sometimes happening before they're released, and then afterwards you get like emotional kind of profit taking and stuff like that. But most people are getting baked into those positions if they're betting on Apple or Amazon or Tesla or whatever way ahead of time before their earnings are out. And so that's the context you got to have with it. Apple overvalued? I mean, I don't think so necessarily. I think people like to hate Apple because it's one of the most powerful companies in the world. But if we take a look at Apple's like PE ratio as an example here, I think it's like pretty cheap, right? Let me see. What is Apple's current PE ratio? Trailing 12 month. I think it's like 30 or something, right? And again, if they come in as expected today, it's going to be even better than whatever it shows up as now. Now, Gap has something. Gap can influence this. Gap is generally accepted accounting principles, and so sometimes companies will. Sometimes companies will have different PE ratios depending on the Gap format. All right, I'm showing the trailing 12-month PE ratio is about 39, which isn't terrible. It's not great. Apple's 10-year average PE ratio is 21. Yeah. So again, one of the ways you can look at PE as well is like if you calculate the last 10 years PE ratio and then compare that to what the current PE ratio is to get a gauge of like value. or not. Now, I'm not one to think that 40 PE is like absolutely horrible, you know, but I think you got to look at it's all relative to what they've done. Like Apple, for instance, has shown 21 roughly as his 10-year average PE ratio. Now, when you take that into context and you look at like a 40 PE ratio like it currently has, in that regard, you know, you could say it's a little overvalued right now. But I think Apple's also reeling from a really bad quarter last quarter, and so I think you can't be too strict on them in that regard, because, you know, like an example of this is like their last EPS was like very low. I had the graph up. Let me see. Yeah, so their last EPS was, yes, the NASDAQ 100. So Apple showed 97 cents, I think, last time. Let me make sure this is right. Yeah, so Apple here, again, we can pull this graph that we've been looking at up. Apple showed, 97 cents for their last quarter, just to show you guys. 97 cents, which is pretty low, right? But again, when you compare that to their history, and then you compare it to what they'll probably show today, which is way up here, you know, their PE ratio gets better real quick. And so the question is, how much weight do you give to that little guy right here? And I don't know. They're still going to be growing. Like, this is actually going to, if they come in as expected, this is actually going to look something like this instead, actually. So this will be their strongest quarterly EPS ever if they come in as expected at $2.36 a share. It'll be their highest quarterly EPS. Now, again, if you want to understand what all this means, right, you hear EPS and revenue and all this stuff. EPS is their margins. It's earnings per share is what the abbreviation stands for. It's their margins. EPS is their margins. Revenue is kind of, revenue is obviously revenue, but when you take that into context, it's like the ceiling of profits that they might potentially have. And so, yeah, that's where we're at. All right, guys, we got 5 minutes. Got about 500 people here. We should have over 1,000 at least when Apple's earnings come out. You know, again, Apple's earnings are technically scheduled for 4:30 market time. So we'll see what happens. Apple's the heavily weighted stock, the most heavily weighted stock in everything, basically. NASDAQ 100, Apple's number one in terms of weight, which means it's going to influence indices more than any other stock out there in terms of weight, which means that, like, if Apple has a big drop, the NASDAQ's going down, most likely. If Apple has a big rip up, NASDAQ's going up. If Apple has a big drop, the S&P 500 is going down. What's the Dow ranking for Apple in terms of weight? It is Apple holds the 14th position in the Dow Jones with a weight of only 3.29%. So the Dow's a little bit different. It's a little bit more old school. Market's starting to bounce back, though, after the tariff news. It's back up, I would say, about 2/3 of the way to versus where it was. So it's back up like a large margin of where it was. Apple's still down there, though. It hasn't really retraced back up yet. So we use a bunch of different news. I've been using AI here a lot lately to query different things. The tariff news is that they're going to put 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico. A pump after Apple earnings and then sell off tomorrow or next week. Yeah, maybe. It's possible. We'll see. I don't know, to be honest. You're not going to see Intel's. I'm going to look at all of them, honestly. And Intel releases right at the closing bell. We're going to look at every single one, including Intel. Intel's scheduled to release right at 4 p.m. We also got Visa, Deckers, and a bunch of other ones. Apple's the one scheduled for late. And so we're absolutely going to look at Intel's. This might influence chips. Intel's been pretty weak for the last year or so. Very weak for the last year. It's down, what, 65%? Back up to today, though. And again, this is scheduled to release in about a minute or so. So we'll see what this looks like. Yeah. It's quarter one, guys. This is quarter one. Okay. Again, listen. I'm going to go over this one more time. Okay. Companies use different fiscal years than the calendar year sometimes. What that means is that this might be quarter one for Apple, but we're not looking at quarter four of the calendar year like you think we are. Apple uses a different fiscal year for their company. Today's earnings are quarter one, not quarter four, I think. Unless I'm going to eat my words here. Look at Apple dip right now, though. Apple dropping here. Yeah, it's all good, talk. All right, so there's the closing bell. There's the closing bell. Any idea why Nike's been running for the past few days? No, I'm not sure. I'm not trying to be condescending. It's hard to understand context through chat, to be honest. So, but it's all good. All right, guys, there's the closing bell. Let's watch Intel. Here's Intel just at $20 a share. Nvidia finished green. That's good. All right, guys. So here we are. Apple earnings are going to be sometime after the closing bell today. Yeah, so again, just to put this in perspective, guys, if I came across as too condescending, my bad. I didn't mean to. But companies have different fiscal years. Some of them do. Some of them go by the calendar year, but a lot of them have different fiscal years. All right, there's Intel releasing. Guys, there's Intel releasing. All right, so it looks like Intel is out based off of how much they're dropping. Intel is down so far on this report. Let's take a look at deeper into this and see what happened with Intel. So Intel ended up posting here, guys. Intel posted... Intel's just a less watched stock right now, though. Intel posted a loss of 3 cents a share. Revenue, 14.3 million versus estimate of 13.81 million. So they beat the estimates. They beat revenue, missed EPS. Adjusted EPS showed up at 13 cents versus their estimate of 12 cents. So they came in a little bit better than expected, actually, for their adjusted EPS. Fourth quarter net income came in at a loss of 100 million. Fourth quarter gross margin came in at 39.2% for Intel. Yeah. Still waiting on Apple, though, here, chat. Just bear with me. Let's see if we can get a little bit deeper into IBM's numbers. Again, Intel sees quarter 1 2025 revenue guidance at 12.7 versus 12.87, so they missed revenue. Non-GAAP EPS showed up at 0 versus 9 cents expected in profit. So 13 cent EPS versus 12 cent. This is adjusted EPS. I mean, revenue of 14.26 billion versus 13.83 billion expected. Market cap 86 billion. Their outlook was a little bit worse than expected as well. So Intel missed guidance. Had mixed numbers for EPS and revenue. Slightly better than expected adjusted EPS. Slightly better than expected revenue. So that's what happened. Again, we'll put Intel's numbers up. Again, Intel posted adjusted EPS of 13 cents versus 12 cents expected. Revenue of 14.26 billion versus 13.81 billion expected. Quarter 1 adjusted EPS showed up at 0% for guidance numbers. They expected 9-cent profit. Revenue showed up at 12.7 billion for guidance. They expected 12.9 billion basically. So that's basically what happened. There's Intel's right there. I think I missed the eye on Intel, but there's the Intel numbers right there. Intel almost back up though. Apple's reacting a little positively here. It's at 237s, so we'll see if it continues. Visa. All right, let me see if I can find Visas. Visa's scheduled to release theirs in 1 minute. They're not out yet. Still waiting on Apple. All right, we got 1,100, over 1,100 people here. So what's up, chat? Hope you guys are doing good today. Alright, so again, Visa not out yet. They're supposed to release right now, but I don't see them yet. Unless they did, and we're just not seeing any reaction. Okay, actually, Visa did show up. Visa showed up. Actually. Yeah, I don't see Visas yet. I also haven't seen them react to it. Intel coming back though. Again, first move, wrong move thing plays out. Yeah, Intel beat EPS, adjusted EPS that is. Revenue was slightly better than expected as well. They missed guidance though. So they're kind of flat. Maybe they bought Bitcoin, maybe. Yeah, Intel is kind of... Yeah, so Apple earnings are scheduled for 4:30, but they honestly can release them anytime. We had KLA Corporation. I'm going to put some of the other earnings up in chat. We had Atlassian Corp. Visa, here's Visa's number, so Visa is out. Visa posted 275 adjusted EPS versus 2.66 expected, so better than expected adjusted EPS for Visa. Revenue showed up at 9.5 bill versus 9.34 billion expected, so better than expected there too. Here's Visa's numbers in the chat if you want to see them as well. Apple, so far so good. It's moving up. The earnings aren't actually out yet. They're scheduled for 4:30. We'll see if they actually show up at 4:30, but that's when they're scheduled to release. again, we put Intel's numbers up already. Intel posted 13-cent versus 12-cent, slight beat, 14.26 versus revenue, beat for revenue. Adjusted EPS for the first quarter and guidance missed. They came in at 0 versus 9 cents expected. Revenue view for guidance came in at 12.7 versus almost 12.9 expected. So Intel beat EPS, beat revenue, missed guidance on both fronts. And so that's probably why they're not ripping up right now. If only share buybacks were not allowed, how the EPS will look on earnings. Yeah. Intel beat earnings. Yeah, kind of. Visa's dropping. Is it really? How's the Visa reacting here? I mean, Visa's going up. It's definitely not dropping. Not from what I see right now, at least. All right, so the president just said, quote, or president basically said that China is going to end up paying a tariff as well. Last thing I read about them was they said 10%, where Canada and Mexico got 25% tariffs. Look at Visa rip here at 349s right now, chat, for Visa flying up. Crazy, crazy. Alright guys, Visa and Intel beats. Yeah, Intel earnings are out. They posted, here, I'll post them again in chat if you want. There's Intel's numbers right there. Visa posted adjusted EPS of 275 versus 266 expected, revenue of 9.5 versus 9.34. They beat EPS and revenue. Yeah, I mean, we might have some sympathy movement from it. We still got 20 minutes left, chat. Let me put a timer up. I'm realizing the timer's not up here. Technically, Apple's usually pretty on time with their stuff, in all honesty. They're usually pretty good with it. So we got a timer rolling now. This is technically when Apple's scheduled to release, sometime right here. I'll put it down, actually, so you can see the company logo. Put it next to me right here. Yeah, all good, Josue. Apple has the personality to be fashionably late. Yeah. Why the Apple or ER report so late? There's technically scheduled for 4:30. Like, even in my title. Here, I'll put it up on screen. In my title, I have quarter one earnings after 4 p.m. because you don't really know when they'll release, but I'll change it to 4:30. I guess it's at 4:30. Magnus Carlsen. Guidance is really important, to be honest. Dude, my thumb itches, guys. It's like the top 3 itchiest thumb right now. It's kind of red, too. Look at that. Why is my thumb red and itchy, guys? I blame you guys at home. My name is John. Is AbbVie reporting? Let me see. Today we had Aapl, Intel, Visa, Deckers, KLA, Atlassian, Canadian National Railroad, Baker Hughes, SkyWest, US Steel, Boot Barn, Coursera, a bunch of other ones too. I don't see. Would you? I passed the blue belt exam, but I'm not actually a blue belt yet. I think I gotta wait to be promoted or something. So it was honestly pretty easy. And like they watch me roll, so they know like I'm ready for it. And it was just basically like basic demonstrations and like a talk. He had a talk about how now I'm a higher belt, and so I can't beat up the trial guys anymore. Which I've actually gotten better at, you know. Dude, why? Dude, I'm starting to get kind of nervous. You fighting like 10-year-olds? No, it's honestly mostly the opposite. Like most of the people I'm sparring with are probably like 40, you know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether they're 20 or whether they're 40. If they've never trained, they've never trained, and they're just kind of, you know. I actually don't beat up the trial guys. I'm pretty nice about it. Like we had a trial guy that was there on Tuesday, and you could tell he had just never trained before ever. And so like instead of rolling with him, I was just like, hey, let me show you some stuff. And I was very nice. I would say I was the top 3 nicest in the world to that guy. Anyways, Visa, push it up. It's at 350s right now, 350s. Aapl at 238s. Yeah. I mean, I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and so it's like we're trying to choke each other out every time. I mean, the only way I hold back is if it's a flow roll or it's like a brand new person that's never trained before. It depends. If it's like a young white belt that I know I could beat, then I will usually be pretty easy with them. I mean, I'll still win most of the time, but like I'll let them get mount or side control or whatever and just let them work a little bit. No, I never wrestled. Aapl is so big. Anyways, we're going to pivot the conversation back out of jiu-jitsu talk. Aapl is so big that the party doesn't start until they arrive, so they aren't late. Yeah, honestly, we've had a crazy amount of economic reports this week. And tomorrow we have the core PCE inflation data coming out. Core PCE inflation data releasing live tomorrow, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. We're going to stream that as well, guys. That's something you want to pay attention to. The PCE report is the Fed's preferred inflation metric. It's what they look to gauge inflation over CPI or some of the other retail watched inflation metrics. PCE is incredibly important, incredibly relevant for markets, and can move markets and influence markets in big ways if they come in disappointing or super hot, either way. What's your favorite submission? Bow and arrow choke, probably. Visa's still up there. Yeah, it's at 351s right now. Aapl at 239s, just under 239s. They're not late. It's at 4:30, chat. I'm pretty sure. Even the big yellow at the bottom of the screen says after 4 p.m. I'll put scheduled for 4:30 here. Alright, guys. Arthur J. Gallagher and Company. Who's that? But they posted earnings. Think you could take Tyson? I mean, probably not. I had to think about it for a second because Tyson's old. And he doesn't train grappling. And but still, he'd probably beat the crap out of me, to be honest. That's okay. Usually market dumps after tech earnings. Not necessarily, Mario. I mean, it can. Sometimes it'll also fly up after earnings. Sometimes what we'll see is like we'll see big drops all day and then big rebounds after. Like market will drop all day, big tech earnings come out, and then just a boom, big rebound back up. Sometimes it's the opposite. Market will run all day, big tech earnings, boom. Where it really gets influential is if we have a big red day and then tech earnings, boom, like that. That's possible and that's bad. Or we run up all day and then tech earnings come in good, and then boom, we rip up and fly up. That's either one of those things is possible. He'd probably beat me up. It depends, right? Like I'm decent enough at jiu-jitsu to where if I got a hold of him, I probably could. I don't know, man. Tyson seems kind of explosive. Probably not. My ego's telling me yes. My mind's telling me no. That's a good head of hair. Top 3. Apple will probably slightly miss, but announce a new buyback plan. Honestly, that's what they do every time, and they still go up. But again, it doesn't mean they're going to do it today. Yeah, Apple. Still waiting, guys. We got 11 minutes left. 11 minutes left, basically, until Apple releases their quarterly earnings report. See what we get. I'm ready. All right, guys, you guys ready? Where's Bitcoin at? How's Bitcoin behaved recently? I heard it was going up. Visa pulled it back a little bit. Where's Intel? Intel's still up there. Here's Bitcoin. Bitcoin's still at 105. Looks good. Nvidia's still up, green, still reacting pretty well to everything. Finally went back. Nvidia's still technically red though. So like here's the previous closing price. It's this light blue line right here. Here's Nvidia. So it's technically red, but it actually closed technically green above this level here. So it's still green, but it closed green on the day, but now it's giving it back in after hours. So we'll see what happens. Hey, good luck. Hope you guys make some money today. What are your thoughts on the SPY for tomorrow? Well, it depends on what Apple earnings do, man. Like, Apple earnings are going to influence everything. I'm sitting tight waiting. Why is aftermarket always dumping Nvidia? Yeah, the tariff news. U.S. Steel just released their numbers. They lost 13 cents a share. They expected 13 cents, as expected, 3.5 billion. See, this is what okay, listen. Okay. You know, we pay attention to these things like they're the Super Bowl of markets, but how does Intel come in? How does Intel come in, or how does U.S. Steel come in as expected for everything? How do analysts know exactly what U.S. Steel is going to do, but they're so variance heavy on everything else? 7 minutes, chat. UPS would have been a great stock to short. Yeah, I guess so. Oh, man. I'm tired, man. Honestly, I'm kind of celebrating. honestly, I've got this video that's mostly done. And I got two options for this video now. I can either finish this video and upload it tomorrow after stream. And I think there's some benefits to that because it'll be morning. It won't be so late for the video. The engagement will probably be better after stream tomorrow. And ultimately, it would have the weekend to like get views and stuff. It's a video breaking down my strategy and how I document support and resistance on Top Step X. And so that's an option. I think that's probably what I'm going to go with. The other option is to like kind of like let the earnings come out today and then kind of finish editing while I'm streaming, which is kind of a lot of work, and then debut it after Aapl earnings call, which I like less. I think I'm just going to do it tomorrow. Aapl is not out now. When Aapl comes out, if it's good earnings, it's going to look something like this. Maybe. It also might drop. But point is, you're going to see like a big candle like this somewhere on the chart. It's not going to look like this if Aapl earnings are out, regardless of whether they came in. They could come in completely as expected, flat, neutral as expected for everything, and they would still move more than it has already. So yeah, they're not out yet. We'll know when they're out. I don't have my blue belt yet. I passed the blue belt exam, and I'm supposed to be promoted sometime once the belt comes in or something. I don't freaking know when I'm going to get it. I'm kind of nervous about it, though. Hey, fake Elon Musk. I have a question. Why do companies make so much money? It doesn't feel like that in real life. Like no one buys phones every day. Thank you, fake Elon Musk, for that beautiful quote. Yeah, I mean, everybody in the United States has a mobile phone from Aapl for the most part. Outside, like I would say it's what, 70-30 at least. 60-40, 70-30. So like at least half the country, which is hundreds and hundreds of millions of people, have one specific brand. And typically what follows it is that if they have an iPhone, a lot of them want a Mac computer. If they have a Mac computer, they want an iPad. If they have an iPad, they want AirPods. They're all interchangeably. And so that's why Aapl is the most successful company in the world, at least in terms of weight on major indexes, is because of that aspect of it, which is so many people use it, and it's growing outside of the country as well. Do Krav Maga actually do belts? Get your mind out the gutter, Matt. Does the Microsoft have more money now? They probably do. In terms of cap, it's probably... Aapl only has 52%? Okay, actually, so Aapl has well over half the market. Samsung only has 24%. So, yeah, so that's my point, is that like hundreds of millions of people have Aapl devices. Oh no, Mac, don't leave, bro. Don't leave. I'm just joking. Leave. It's okay. Nvidia's... What about Visa? Visa came in better than expected for EPS and revenue, and they're up a lot. If you look at Visa here, they're up at 347s. So Visa had good reaction, but they kind of dipped a little bit afterwards. Intel had better than expected EPS and revenue, but worse than expected revenue guidance and EPS guidance. And so they're still reacting positively to it, but their guidance was weak. Earnings come out in about 4 minutes. About 3 minutes, actually. For 0.1% implied volatility. Maybe. All right, chat. Here we go. 2 minutes left. You guys ready? 2 minutes for Apple. I would have a drum roll. I have a green screen. Or I have a soundboard. I really wanted to put You're a Cream Puff Johnny from Karate Kid on there, but I just haven't yet. I just haven't. When Tyson nibbles your ear, it's not love. Yeah, that's true. I guess that's true. All right, guys. Hey, we got 1 minute left. 1 minute. Hey, thank you, Tiago, my guy. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, Apple's big. They're a big company, man. All right, here we go. Here's the time. Apple's got a tiny amount of time left here, chat, for Apple. Let's do this. Again, we're going to stream the full earnings call as well from Apple as soon as it happens. Yeah, we're going to stream the full call. We're going to cover it as soon as it happens here. This is what we do here. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Hit the notification bell. Everything we report on, basically everything finance live for free. All the big news, earnings, economic reports, everything for free right here. Less than a minute now, chat. Less than a minute. Can Apple drop 21%? I mean, it could, but it's pretty improbable. It's a big drop. It would have to have like really bad earnings, and it's usually not going to be from earnings that it drops 20+%, but it's possible. It's not outside the realm. It's just pretty, again, improbable is the word. All right, guys, 20 seconds. 20 seconds. This timer's a little bit early. We got about 20 seconds left until 3:40. Let's watch for the move and then report the earnings when it happens. All right, guys. Apple at 238.50s. And this is 430 right now. There's 430, and look at this drop. Apple dropped down to 237. It's a big move here for Apple. It's moving. It's down to 236. It's back up to 239. It's way over that at 240s now for Apple. Hit 241s here. Again, look at this drop, or look at this run up for Apple. Apple is up big here. We're gonna find the numbers. Looks like market's liking Apple's numbers here. Apple EPS of 240, beating the expectation of 234. Revenue of 124.3, beat expectations of 124. So Apple just had its strongest quarterly EPS margins and revenue ever. Apple just had its strongest quarterly EPS and revenue quarter ever. So Apple beat EPS, beat revenue. Again, 240 beat 234. 124.3 beat 124 expected. So better than expected both fronts. It doesn't mean anything, though. This is already expected. And look at Apple retrace back. Sometimes the first move is the wrong move here. Let me see if I can find the guidance, though. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going up. This is the strongest quarterly EPS and revenue ever for Apple. But it doesn't mean it's going up, guys. I wouldn't get too excited. It doesn't necessarily mean anything. All right, so we're going to put this number up on screen here. We're still looking for the guidance numbers. And Apple is kind of underwhelming in terms of the reaction here. There's the numbers at the bottom of the screen in big yellow letters here. This is Apple's numbers right now. Now they're dropping down to 236. 236. We're going to see if we can dig some more data out of Apple. Apple 2025 service sales. We're going to start throwing some numbers up in chat here. Okay. Here. There's 2021 services sales. Wearable sales are coming in here. Mac sales coming in here. iPad sales showing up here. iPhone sales came in at 69.138. Apple very flat. Gap EPS. So here's the actual earnings. So all of this in chat. And so again, Apple reported Gap EPS 240 versus 236. Sales 124.3 beat the 124.1 estimates. Quarter one iPhone sales came in at 69.13 billion. 2025 iPad sales came out in at almost 8.1 billion. Quarter one Mac sales came in at 8.987 billion. Quarter one wearable sales came in at 11.757 billion. Quarter one 2025 services sales came in at 26.3 billion. And honestly, Apple hasn't really moved at all here. Strongest quarterly EPS and revenue ever. Really, it's kind of down a little bit. People asking why is this happening is because just because it has good EPS and revenue doesn't necessarily mean it goes up stock price wise. Again, so iPad sales came in at 8.09. They thought 7.37, so actually a little bit better than expected. Honestly, this is kind of an underwhelming reaction for Apple. Again, so Apple America's net sales came in at 52.648 billion, up from 50.43 billion year over year. Europe net sales came in at 33.861 billion, up from 30.397 billion. Greater China net sales came in at 18.51, down from 20.819. So Apple China sales down a little bit. Maybe that's making the Apple drop. Honestly, look at it though. We haven't really moved at all. Very strange. I don't see guidance yet. I'm still looking at it. Yeah, they had their strongest EPS and revenue ever quarterly. Again, we're going to stream the whole earnings call live at 5 p.m. in less than 30 minutes. Well, we just have so much stuff coming out today, though, is what you got to understand. Like, we've got so much economic reports. We had just this week. All right, we had the FOMC meeting. We had Microsoft, Meta, Apple, IBM, Intel, Tesla earnings. We got GDP today. We have PCE data tomorrow. We had FOMC meeting Wednesday. Next week, we got the JOLTS report. We got a bunch of stuff happening this week. And so we're just busy in that regard. They missed, bro. Do better research. What did they miss? Listen, I'm definitely one of the top 3 most wrong people in the world right now, but did they miss something? If they did, tell me, please. Are you covering Chevron earnings tomorrow? Yeah, we'll cover it. Yeah, I mean, maybe. Visa's out. They beat EPS, beat revenue, I'm pretty sure. But I have to go back and check to see what their numbers were. They're somewhere in chat. No one cares about Apple's numbers anymore. Short term doesn't matter. What's the vision? Innovation, that's what matters. Yeah, maybe. Apple reported that iPhone sales for the quarter were down nearly 1% from the prior year to 69.1 billion, a miss from the 70.7 billion analysts were projecting, according to FactSet. Yeah, they might have missed something. You know how many metrics come out? There's like 6, 7, 8 metrics come out. It's not like they're gonna beat on literally everything. I don't think that's a reasonable expectation, too. Yeah, it's probably, guys, if you want to know why Apple hasn't reacted much, it's probably because they've done this on the year. You know? Apple's done incredibly well on the year. For a massive company like this, this is their couple-year chart. They've done really, really well. And so, I mean, when you look at their long-term graph, I mean, that's probably why. This is Apple's long-term chart. So, I mean, that's probably why they sometimes have an underwhelming response. A lot of nuance behind it. Yeah, so I know they missed sales in China. iPhone sales in China were worse than expected. I saw that 18.5 versus 21 or 20 point whatever. Yeah, that might be true. But again, that's probably that probably explains why they're mixed. Good EPS, good revenue, lower China sales. Yeah, you got the cloud of tariffs, 25% tariffs looming. That dropped maybe 30 minutes before this. Yeah, I mean, I cover every Apple earnings report, though. Usually they move more than this. It's very strange that they didn't. This is a very strong, or very small, like very, very small reaction relative to a lot of Apple's other ones. Yeah, we'll see what the earnings call says. We'll see what the guidance looks like. Yeah. Japan sales came in at 8.9 million. So Japan actually came in a little bit better than expected. Just give you guys some more data here. Apple Q1 Japan sales showed up at almost 9 billion versus 7.93 billion expected. China and the rest of Asia showed up at 28.8 versus 32 expected roughly. So they did miss big overseas in sales. And again, guys, if you want to check out TopStep today, check them out. TopStep is a funded account program in futures. They give you a demo. They test your skill with it. If you pass the test, they fund you. You fail, you only lose what you pay for it. In this case, the base one's $40 or $50 a month. It's not the end of the world if you fail it. Versus funding your own account thousands of dollars and losing that like a lot of people do. A lot of people fund their own account 5, 10, 20, 30 grand and lose all of it. And then they complain about funded account programs like, you know. And so, again, that's what you got to understand. It's a great way to learn how to day trade because it's kind of like a middle ground demo account. Like if you pass it, you get some extra stuff. If you fail it, you're only out $50. Most demo accounts probably cost the same in terms of like real-time data demo accounts. They're going to cost $50 or so. So it's not the end of the world. TopStep has paid out over 200 or almost 200 million in the last 4 years. They fund thousands of traders. They've been around for over 12 years. But again, they're an affiliate of mine. I am biased because they pay me money. Understand, I am terrible and have no idea what I'm talking about. I might be wildly wrong about anything and everything I say here. This content is for entertainment purposes only, and my experiences may be done off stream. I might lose off stream, and you're not going to see it. And it doesn't matter because I'm terrible at trading. It doesn't freaking matter. Understand, CFTC 4.41. Hypothetical or simulated performance have limitations, guys. But yeah, if you want to check out TopStep, it's a good way to learn. It's a kind of a good middle ground of pressure. And they're the most legit one in the world. So if you want to check them out, I'll put the link up in chat. In the futures market, you can day trade the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Dow, the Russell, gold, some currencies. The call is in 20 minutes, guys. 20 minutes. Y'all got to learn to read here. All right? I'm just messing with you, kind of. But here, I'll put this up on screen. 5 p.m. Full call, 5 p.m. Here you go. No, we're not going to cover Intel's call. Top 3 most consistent YouTuber right now. Hey, my guy. Thank you, man. We try. If I'm being honest, I feel like the market moved kind of weird today. Yeah, maybe. Honestly, I don't even have an Apple phone, guys. And I've held Apple stock a lot. I've made money on Apple stock. I got a Z Fold phone. I've got a Samsung, you know. All right, so again, guys, we're going to run through this list, okay? We're going to give you guys some more lists. First quarter wearable home accessories, 11.75 billion. First quarter Mac revenue, $8.99 billion. Products revenue, $97.96 billion. Europe revenue came in at $33.86 billion. First quarter net revenue came in at $36.33 billion. America's revenue came in at $52.65 billion. iPhone revenue showed up at almost $70 billion, $69.1 billion. Greater China revenue, $18.51 billion. Japan revenue, $8.99 billion. All this stuff is in chat right now. I think I double posted this one. iPad revenue, $8.09 billion. Keep this up on screen too. Yeah, we'll see how much they mention AI. Rest of Asia Pacific, $10.29 billion. So that's basically what we got now. It's starting to rebound back up. Let's watch 237s. I'm allowed to spam my own chat if it's reports that I'm posting. You're welcome, guys. You're welcome. Is it going down? Y'all do me a favor, hit the subscribe button. Listen, I don't ask you guys for much. Alright? And I would never, ever judge you guys if you didn't subscribe or hit the like button. But if you don't right now, I will hate you forever. And you gotta do it right now. Everything we do here is free. It doesn't cost a penny. We have no paywalls behind content. The only thing that has a paywall is if you want to be a member, you can get Beardless John emoji that you can see in chat right now. Everything we do here is free. The big reports, we get thousands and thousands of people show up. FOMC meeting, we had 7,000 concurrent viewers. We cover every major economic earnings report, market news, finance news in general. We trade every day live at the opening bell. We don't sell a course, don't sell a service. We give everything away for free. And yeah, you should subscribe, is all I'm saying. Now the question is, do you love us if we subscribe? Well, I mean, you guys don't really exist, okay? We got over 1,000 people here right now, and if I was in front of 1,000 people, I would poop my pants. And so you guys don't actually exist. Y'all are just a bunch of internet randoms, imaginary people out here in the John verse right now. All right, so y'all don't actually exist, is all I'm saying. And I love the thought of you guys, Hey, thank you, friends. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. All right, guys. Apple back up to 238. We got the earnings call at about 14 minutes. Yeah, subscribe. Hit the notification, though. No, don't do that. Whoa. For a clearer screen optimization will automatically run in a moment. The power will be turned off and on for about 10 minutes. No, dude. How dare you, bro? Go away. No, you can't do that, bro. Do you see my... dude, I bought this freaking $1,000 monitor. It just kind of casually says, hey, screen optimization is here. We need to turn your screen off for 10 minutes. Random. What does even that mean? Screen optimization? What is it going to do? Does anybody know? I've got a G9 ultra wide 49-inch monitor. What the heck does screen optimization mean? Encyclopedia chat. What do you guys think? What does that mean? Somebody help me out here. Also, guys, listen. Join our Discord. It doesn't cost a penny. There's no paywalls behind it. It's free. Join it. There's the link right there. See, I had 3 monitors on the bottom, David. I had monitor. And then I was at Best Buy, and they had this big, shiny 49-inch ultra wide monitor. I'm honestly really glad I bought it because it's super useful. And so I just kind of, because I'm really glad because it took away all the cords I had. I had like mountains of cords under my computer. I bought this monitor. Now there's no cords, and it's great. And it's super wide, and it's cool, and it's curved. So. Maybe it's me that doesn't exist. I mean, that's possible too. We are your friends. All right, guys, here we go. Earnings call starting soon. You got 249. I was talking about that on Top Step TV the other day, so I might buy another one. I expect NVIDIA to pop since iPhone. Yeah. All right, guys, we got 12 minutes here. 12 minutes before Apple's earnings call. Honestly, it's been a week, man. I've been streaming nonstop, dude. Yesterday, I streamed literally all day and then took my Blue Belt exam right afterwards. I know I'm ranting about nonsense. I'm genuinely tired, though. He's actually in a deep state of schizophrenia thinking he's a YouTuber. I don't actually think I'm a YouTuber. My son does. My son thinks I'm like freaking Mr. Beast or something, you know. I try to tell him, like, nah. I'm not out here bugging people with a camera in their face. iPhone AI sales are up. All right, chat. So I asked, will we beat or miss Apple earnings? I'm going to do another poll right now, and I want you to participate in this poll. The question is going to be, are you bullish or bearish on Apple's earnings call for quarter one? Tell them you're Cheddar Bob. Do I look like Cheddar Bob from 8 Mile? You know? Of course I'm not Cheddar Bob, bro. Alright, guys. Apple hasn't freaking moved from their earnings report. The big story, I think, from this earnings is that they missed China sales, but they had their strongest quarterly EPS and revenue ever. And so they had the strongest quarterly EPS and revenue. They missed the overseas China sales were worse than expected for sure, lower than expected, noticeably lower. Everything else was kind of middle ground. Its strongest quarterly EPS and revenue ever, but disappointing sales overseas is the story of today's earnings call or earnings report. Now we'll see if they update us on that. But yeah. Okay, wait. Okay. Wait, just listen. Y'all think I look, or you think, let me clarify. You think I look like this. Hold on, let me find it. So wait, so this is me right here. Is that what you're saying? This is me? I gotta just accept it, you know? This is me right here. Okay. Listen. I have his eyes. Okay, yeah. He's from Louisiana, dude? Yeah, listen. Oh, I gotta tell my wife. I'll be like, look, baby, listen, I'm sorry, but apparently this is me now. I'm gonna go hang around at freestyle bars and, you know, don't give me a firearm. All right. I'll donate 1,000 if you go bald and show comps tomorrow. Dude, there ain't no way I would shave my head for $1,000, bro. Like, what's the guy that in the Supreme outfit that would go around getting people to tattoo his head or whatever it was? Like, I see videos of him randomly. He's got, like, the acne. What's his name? It's some ridiculous name. Like, dude, you need to pay me, like, 10. And I still probably would have to think about it for a long time. Anyways, guys, we got 7 minutes left. 7 minutes left. We're going to cover the 4 earnings call, Joseph. So the earnings call starts in about 5 minutes, 4 minutes. And we're going to cover all of it. His name is Supreme Patty, I think is the guy I'm thinking about's name. I just thought of it. Supreme Patty. Alright, so again, Apple AI. We'll see what they do. Okay, so revenue beat, EPS beat, iPhone sales are down, installed base climbs to all-time highs. They said our best quarter ever. Total revenue was 4% year over year. Earnings per share climbed 10% year over year. America sales totaled $52.65 billion in the quarter. Europe sales came in at $33.86 billion. Greater China sales were down. Japan sales were up. Products revenue came in at almost $100 billion at $98 billion. Up from 96.46 year over year. Services revenue totaled 26.34. So they said today Apple is reporting our best quarter ever with revenue of 124.3, up 4% year over year, said Tim Cook. Through the power of Apple Silicon, we're unlocking new possibilities for our users with Apple Intelligence, which makes apps and experiences even better and more personal. And we're excited that Apple Intelligence will be available in even more languages this April. Apple's board declared a quarterly cash dividend of 25 cents a share. It's payable on February 13th to shareholders as of record on February 10th. They did not provide quarterly guidance or forward guidance at the first quarter release, but the company typically provides commentary on conference calls. Yeah, so that's basically their numbers here. We got 5 minutes chat. 5 minutes. All right. I'm going to turn this into an emoji right here. You know. All right, guys. Y'all ready? We're going to cover Apple earnings soon. Still waiting for the call to start. Starts in about 5 minutes. All right, we're waiting, guys. We're waiting. Waiting for the earnings call to start. Yeah, they didn't provide guidance. It's dipping down some for sure here. All they need to do is say AI a bunch. Yeah, I guess so. It beat EPS, beat revenue. Missed a couple other metrics, but for the most part, it was okay. I'm really excited to end this. I mean, again, guys, stick around. We're covering it live in 3 minutes. I'm ready for this to be over, though. Hey, listen, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, watching these earnings reports, though. Subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Earnings call's about to start in less than 3 minutes now. But again, I genuinely appreciate you guys hanging out with me and watching this stuff. Gives me something to do while I watch it. So, cheers to you guys. Appreciate the love. Yeah. Now Apple's dipping down. It's at 234s. It is down a little bit now. Is that his name, Tim Aapl? What's the sub goal for the end of this year? I'm gonna go with I just want to hit 200K probably, you know. $220,000 for the sub goal. I'm not talking about my salary. Can Microsoft rebound? All right, here we go, guys. Y'all ready? I'm gonna mute the music now. And then we're gonna get ready. I'm gonna mute the music. I'll start it up as soon as it starts. Once it starts, just let me know. I can turn the volume up always if it needs to be turned up. Oh my goodness, I don't think it'll need to be turned up. This is super loud. But if it needs to be turned up, just let me know. It shouldn't. It hasn't started yet. Again, I'm gonna give it to you as soon as it comes out. But once you hear them come on, just let me know if it's too loud, or let me know if it's not loud enough, or whatever. All right. At least Apple's wait music on their call is better than Elon's. Elon's feels like I just walked into a nightclub in the Blade movies in the 90s, you know, and vampires are going to come out dancing, is what Elon's hold music sounds like. Apple's is kind of just pianos. Yeah, NVIDIA back. All right, guys.
And welcome to the Apple Q1 fiscal year 2020 conference call. My name is Suhasini Chandramouli, Director of Investor Relations. Today's call is being recorded. Speaking first today are Apple CEO Tim Cook, and he'll be followed by CFO Kevin Parekh. After that, we'll open the call to questions from analysts. Please note that some of the information you'll hear during our discussion today will consist of forward-looking statements, including, without limitation, those regarding revenue, gross margin, operating expenses, other income and expense, taxes, capital allocation, and future business outlook, including the potential impact of macroeconomic conditions on the company's business and results of operations. These statements involve risks and uncertainties that may cause actual results or trends to differ materially from our forecast. For more information, please refer to the risk factors discussed in Apple's most recently filed annual report on Form 10-K and the Form 8-K filed with the SEC today, along with the associated press release. Apple assumes no obligation to update any forward-looking statements, which speak only as of the date they are made. I'd now like to turn the call over to Tim for introductory remarks.
Thank you, Suhasini. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining the call. Before I talk about our results, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the devastating wildfires that impacted the Los Angeles area this month. From our retail teams to Apple TV Plus, Apple Music, Fitness Plus, Beats, and more, LA is home to many of our team members. Our thoughts are with everyone who is beginning the road to recovery. For our part, we are contributing to the relief efforts, and we will continue to support our teams and the local community. Now, turning to the quarter. Today, Apple is reporting revenue of $124.3 billion for the December quarter, up 4% from a year ago and an all-time record. EPS also set an all-time record of $2.40, 10% higher year over year. We achieved all-time revenue records across the majority of the countries and regions we track, including the Americas, Europe, Japan, and the rest of Asia Pacific. We also continue to see momentum in emerging markets, setting all-time revenue records in a number of markets, including Latin America, the Middle East, and South Asia, among others. In services, we achieved an all-time revenue record, and in the past year, we've seen nearly $100 billion in revenue from our services business. I'm also pleased to announce that we reached a new record for our installed base with over 2.35 billion active devices. In October, we released the first set of Apple Intelligence features in U.S. English for iPhone, iPad, and Mac, and we rolled out more features and expanded to more countries in December. Now, users can discover the benefits of these new features in the things they do every day. They can use writing tools to help find just the right words, create fun and unique images with Image Playground and Genmoji, handle daily tasks and seek out information with a more natural and conversational Siri, create movies of their memories with a simple prompt, and touch up their photos with cleanup. We introduced visual intelligence with camera control to help users instantly learn about their surroundings. Users can also seamlessly access ChatGPT across iOS, iPadOS, and macOS. And we were excited to recently begin our international expansion with Apple Intelligence now available in Australia, Canada, New Zealand, South Africa, and the UK. We're working hard to take Apple Intelligence even further. In April, we're bringing Apple Intelligence to more languages, including French, German, Italian, Portuguese, Spanish, Japanese, Korean, and simplified Chinese, as well as localized English to Singapore and India. And we'll continue to roll out more features in the future, including an even more capable Siri. Apple Intelligence builds on years of innovations we've made across hardware and software to transform how users experience our products. Apple Intelligence also empowers users by delivering personal context that's relevant to them. And importantly, Apple Intelligence is a breakthrough for privacy and AI with innovations like private cloud compute, which extends the industry-leading security and privacy of Apple devices into the cloud. Apple Intelligence opens up an exciting new frontier and is already elevating experiences across iPhone, iPad, and Mac. We're going to keep investing in innovation and in transformative tools that help users in their everyday lives. Let me now turn to our results for the quarter, starting with iPhone. iPhone revenue came in at $69.1 billion, reaching all-time iPhone revenue records in dozens of markets and regions. Our iPhone 16 lineup takes the smartphone experience to the next level in so many ways, and Apple Intelligence is one of many reasons why customers are excited. With the A18-powered iPhone 16 and iPhone 16 Plus, users are getting a big boost in battery life and incredible camera experiences with camera control. Our amazingly powerful iPhone 16 Pro models go even further, with larger-than-ever displays and a Pro camera system so advanced it can turn moments into masterpieces. In Mac, revenue was $9 billion for the December quarter, 16% higher year over year, driven by significant excitement around the world for our latest Mac lineup. The Mac is more than just a powerful tool. It's a launchpad to enable users to bring their best ideas and boldest creations to life. And there are so many reasons to choose Mac, from the breathtaking performance of the M4 family of chips to the groundbreaking and growing capabilities of Apple Intelligence. Every product in the Mac lineup offers something extraordinary, whether that's the super portable MacBook Air, the powerhouse MacBook Pro, the world's best all-in-one iMac, or the small wonder that is the Mac Mini, which is not only stunningly capable, but is our first carbon-neutral Mac. All of this is enabled by the unparalleled power of Apple Silicon. iPad revenue was $8.1 billion, up 15% from a year ago, driven by strong interest for our latest products. We love hearing from customers who are discovering for the first time the versatility of iPad, from the ultra-portable iPad mini, built from the ground up for Apple Intelligence, to the powerful M4 iPad Pro in a stunningly thin and light design. iPad is there for our users whenever they need it and wherever they go, and we are pleased to see so much excitement and enthusiasm for our lineup. Wearables, home, and accessories revenue came in at $11.7 billion. With its most advanced display yet and a thinner, more comfortable design, the all-new Apple Watch Series 10 is the perfect companion to help users pursue their health and fitness goals this year. From the powerful Vitals app to more customizable activity rings, users have an ever-increasing set of innovative health tools at their fingertips in watchOS 11. Health innovation has long been a focus for us, and we're committed to continuing to advance this work because we know how much it matters to our users. We've introduced new hearing health features on AirPods Pro 2, and new sleep apnea notifications on Apple Watch are also helping users learn of a potentially serious condition that's thought to affect up to 1 billion people worldwide. During the quarter, we also brought Apple Vision Pro to even more countries, enabling more customers to discover the magic of spatial computing. Users are enjoying incredible, immersive entertainment experiences and powerful new features and enhancements to Mac Virtual Display. Vision Pro is also supercharging the creative process, and the incredibly talented director John M. Chu recently shared how its extraordinary capabilities helped him bring the movie Wicked to life. Turning to services, we set an all-time revenue record of $26.3 billion for the December quarter, growing 14% from a year ago. We set all-time records in the Americas, Europe, and rest of Asia Pacific, and a December quarter record in Japan. 5 years since launch, Apple TV Plus continues to be home to incredible storytelling that viewers love. There's nothing quite like the anticipation that comes when a fan favorite returns, and we were thrilled to debut the second season of Severance earlier this month. We have so much in store for our subscribers this year with new shows like The Studio and Your Friends and Neighbors. And we can't wait for the premiere of Formula One, starring Brad Pitt on June 27th, which will take viewers inside the sport in a truly unprecedented way. We're excited that Apple TV Plus continues to draw attention and accolades. To date, Apple TV Plus productions have earned more than 2,500 nominations and 538 wins. During the quarter, we were also excited to launch a new Find My service that can help our users when they lose their luggage. For the first time, if you put an AirTag in your suitcase, you'll be able to share its location information with many major airlines so they can quickly track down your bags if they get lost. Turning to retail, our teams went above and beyond to help customers find the perfect gift throughout the holiday season. We also celebrated openings of new stores in China, Spain, and the U.S. And we were excited to announce plans to connect with even more customers this year by adding a 5th store in the UAE and bringing our online store to Saudi Arabia this summer. We can't wait to welcome customers to the first of several flagship store locations in Saudi Arabia that we're opening beginning in 2026. I just had the chance to visit both countries last month, and I had a great time meeting with customers and team members. There's an incredible energy and passion for technology in these growing markets. Every day, I get deeply moving notes about the many ways our technology is enriching our users' lives. I recently got a note from a customer who put his watch on his father's wrist when he feared something was wrong with him. The watch alerted them that the father was in AFib, and they were able to get him to the hospital for potentially life-saving treatment. Another user put his new watch on for the first time and within 15 minutes was notified of a low heart rate that led to a necessary pacemaker. And there are so many touching notes around the profound impact of our new hearing health feature, like a recent user who told me it had changed her life, allowing her to take part in conversations with her children and grandchildren. These are the kind of stories that remind us of how profoundly important our work is, and it drives us to innovate each and every day. At Apple, the future is full of promise and potential. We're always searching across a world of possibilities, finding those places where we can do the most good and putting all of our energy and ingenuity into making something special. With that, I'll turn it over to Kevin.
Thanks, Tim, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to cover the results for the first quarter of our fiscal year. We are very pleased to report an all-time high for revenue, with December quarter revenue of $124.3 billion, up 4% year over year. We achieved all-time revenue records in the Americas, Europe, Japan, and rest of Asia Pacific, and grew in the vast majority of markets we track. Products revenue was $98 billion, up 2% year over year, driven by growth from iPad and Mac. Thanks to our incredible customer satisfaction and strong loyalty, our install base of active devices reached an all-time high across all products and geographic segments, and is now over 2.35 billion active devices. Services revenue reached an all-time record of $26.3 billion, up 14% year over year. We grew in every geographic segment and achieved all-time records in both developed and emerging markets. Company gross margin was 46.9% at the high end of our guidance range and up 70 basis points sequentially, primarily driven by favorable mix. Products gross margin was 39.3%, up 300 basis points sequentially, primarily driven by favorable mix and leverage. Services gross margin was 75%, up 100 basis points sequentially, primarily driven by mix. Operating expenses of $15.4 billion landed at the midpoint of our guidance range and up 7% year over year. This strong business performance resulted in all-time records for both net income at $36.3 billion and diluted earnings per share of $2.40, up 10% year over year. Operating cash flow was also strong at $29.9 billion, which included the impact of the $11.9 billion we paid during the quarter in connection with the state aid decision. Now, I'm going to provide some more details for each of our revenue categories. iPhone revenue was $69.1 billion, roughly flat to the prior year. We grew in the majority of markets we track and reached all-time revenue records in several developed markets, including Canada, Western Europe, and Japan, and in emerging markets like Latin America, the Middle East, and South Asia. The iPhone active install base grew to an all-time high in total and in every geographic segment. We also set an all-time record for upgraders. According to a recent survey from Kantar, during the December quarter, iPhone was a top-selling model in the US, urban China, India, the UK, France, Australia, and Japan. We continue to see high levels of customer satisfaction in the US at 96%, as measured by 451 Research. Mac generated $9 billion in revenue, up 16% year over year. We saw strength across our lineup, from the new Mac Mini to the latest MacBook Air and MacBook Pro models. This incredible performance was broad-based, with double-digit growth in every geographic segment. With our latest advances in Apple Silicon and our fastest neural engine ever, customers are able to take advantage of the full capabilities of AI on Mac. The Mac install base reached an all-time high, and we saw double-digit growth for both upgraders and customers new to the Mac. Additionally, customer satisfaction in the US was recently measured at 94%. iPad revenue was $8.1 billion, up 15% year over year, driven by the new iPad mini and latest iPad Air. The iPad install base reached another all-time high, and over half of the customers who purchased an iPad during the quarter were new to the product. Customer satisfaction was at 96% in the US, based on the latest reports from 451 Research. Wearables, home, and accessories revenue was $11.7 billion, down 2% year over year. Customers are excited about the new AirPods 4 and the latest hearing health features in AirPods Pro 2. On Watch, although we face a difficult compare against a Watch Ultra 2 launch last year, the Apple Watch install base reached a new all-time high, with over half of customers purchasing an Apple Watch during the quarter being new to the product. Customer satisfaction for Watch in the US was reported at 94%. Our services revenue reached an all-time high of $26.3 billion, up 14% year over year. Services continues to see strong momentum, and the growth of our install base of active devices gives us great opportunities for the future. We also see increased customer engagement with our services offerings. Both transacting and paid accounts reached new all-time highs, with paid accounts growing double digits year over year. Paid subscriptions also grew double digits. We have well over 1 billion paid subscriptions across the services on our platform. We remain focused on improving the breadth and quality of our services offerings, from new games on Apple Arcade to exciting new programming on Fitness Plus, and the continued expansion of features like Tap to Pay, now live in 20 markets. Turning to enterprise, we have seen businesses continue to expand their deployments of our products and services. Deutsche Bank launched its Mac as Choice program for their developers and also issued the latest MacBook Air as a standard computer for their entire mortgage lending division. And we're excited to see leading enterprises such as SAP leverage Apple Intelligence in the US, with features like writing tools, summarize, and priority notifications to enhance both their employee and customer experiences. We also see strong demand in our emerging markets. For example, Zomato, a leading food ordering and delivery company in India, has deployed thousands of Macs across their workforce to foster innovation. And Vision Pro continues to see more use cases in enterprise, with Cisco's new spatial meetings delivering a fully immersive video conferencing experience for remote collaboration and learning. Let me quickly summarize our cash position and capital return program. We ended the quarter with $141 billion in cash and marketable securities. We repaid $1 billion in maturing debt and decreased commercial paper by $8 billion, resulting in $97 billion in total debt. Therefore, net cash at the end of the quarter was $45 billion. During the quarter, we returned over $30 billion to shareholders. This included $3.9 billion in dividends and equivalents and $23.3 billion through open market repurchases of 100 million Apple shares. As usual, we will provide an update to our capital return program when we report results for the March quarter. As we move ahead into the March quarter, I'd like to review our outlook, which includes the types of forward-looking information that Suhasini referred to at the beginning of the call. The color we're providing today assumes that the macroeconomic outlook doesn't worsen from what we're projecting today for the current quarter. As the dollar has strengthened significantly, we expect foreign exchange to be a headwind and to have a negative impact on revenue of about 2.5 percentage points on a year-over-year basis. Despite that headwind, we expect our March quarter total company revenue to grow low to mid-single digits year over year. We expect services revenue to grow low double digits year over year. When you remove the negative impact of the foreign exchange headwinds I described earlier, the year-over-year growth rate would be comparable to that of the December quarter. We expect gross margin to be between 46.5% and 47.5%. We expect operating expenses to be between $15.1 billion and $15.3 billion. We expect OI&E to be around negative $300 million, excluding any potential impact from the mark-to-market of minority investments, and our tax rate to be around 16%. Finally, today our board of directors has declared a cash dividend of 25 cents per share of common stock payable on February 13th, 2025 to shareholders of record as of February 10th, 2025. With that, let's open the call to questions.
Thank you, Kevin. We ask that you limit yourself to 2 questions. Operator, may we have the first question, please?
Certainly. We will go ahead and take our first question from Eric Woodring with Morgan Stanley. Please go ahead.
Great, guys. Thanks so much for for taking my questions. Tim, in your prepared remarks, you had noted that iPhone 16 models are selling better in markets where Apple Intelligence is available. And I'm just wondering if you could double click on that comment a bit and share any other details you believe could, better help us understand how Apple Intelligence is really impacting iPhone demand, and or what features you find that users are using most often already. And then I just have a quick follow-up. Thank you.
Yeah, Eric. Hi, it's Tim. We did see that the markets where we had rolled out Apple Intelligence, that the year-over-year performance on the iPhone 16 family was stronger than those where Apple Intelligence was not available. In terms of the features that people are using, they're using all of the ones that I'd referenced in my opening comments, from writing tools to image playground and Genmoji, to visual intelligence and more. And so we see all of those being used. The cleanup is another one that is popular, and people love seeing that one demoed in the stores as well. We only had 2.5 weeks or so during the December quarter of the second release of 18.2, and then only had the UK and the other English language countries for the 2.5 weeks. And so we've got just the early indications at the moment. But we were
Okay,
glad.
that's really helpful.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. No, thank you for that color, Tim. It's helpful. And then, if we just touch on China, obviously in the news fairly frequently, if we set aside China macro, which I understand is still challenging, can you maybe talk about the headwinds that Apple faces, whether that's, shifting preferences for Western technology brands in favor of domestic vendors, or is this just a function of not necessarily having Apple Intelligence available with the iPhone 16, which is, not necessarily helping replacement cycles? Just maybe double clicking on what you think and what you're hearing in China as it relates to the iPhone. Thanks so much.
Yeah, sure. If you look at our Greater China revenue for the quarter, we were down 11% year over year. And over half of the decline that we experienced was driven by a change in channel inventory from the beginning to the end of the quarter. And of course, on the Apple Intelligence side, we have not rolled out in China. And as we just talked about, we did see better results in the markets that we had rolled out in than markets we hadn't rolled out in. And of course, it's the most competitive market in the world. And so all of those things are true. In terms of the macro situation, there was a fiscal stimulus or subsidy announced very recently in January that did not affect the December quarter. There were some provincial subsidies in the December quarter, but the national program was announced, I believe, on January 20th. And it does cover the categories that we have products in, from smartphones to tablets and PCs and smartwatches, up to a maximum price point. And so we do see fiscal stimulus occurring, and we'll be glad to talk about what that looks like on the next call.
Great. Thanks so much, Tim. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Operator, can we have the next question, please?
Our next question is from Ben Reitzes with Melius. Please go ahead.
Hey guys, thanks a lot for the question. And hey Tim, wanted to ask you, you knew this one was coming, but there's a perception that you're a big beneficiary of lower cost of compute, and I was wondering if you could give your worldly perspective here on the DeepSeek situation, and if you are going to, if anything's happened to change your views in terms of a tailwind to margins and your ability to execute even due to the potential for costs to come down due to that development and probably what was going to happen anyway. But I'd love your perspective on that and then have a quick follow-up. Thanks.
Sure. In general, I think innovation that drives efficiency is a good thing. And that's what you see in that model. Our tight integration of silicon and software, I think, will continue to serve us very well. As you know, we do things on the device and we do things in the private cloud, and which mimics from a architectural point of view what happens on device. And from a CapEx point of view, we've always taken a very prudent and deliberate approach to our expenditure, and we continue to leverage a hybrid model, which I think continues to serve us well.
Oh, great. All right. Thanks, Tim. And then, just with regard to, the iPhone trajectory, do you feel like, I guess, you obviously don't talk about new products and stuff like that, but do you feel that there's a lot of room for form factor innovation in the future, or do you feel that that the current lineup kind of shows where you're going? I guess without pulling punches, wondering if you thought in terms of the phone innovation, if there's a lot more to come, and you could see the kind of current market changing a bit over the next 2 to 3 years. Thanks.
I think there's a lot more to come, and I could not feel more optimistic about our product pipeline. So I think there's a lot of innovation left on the smartphone.
Thanks a lot, Tim.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Operator, could we have the next question, please?
Our next question is from Michael Ng with Goldman Sachs. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the question. I have two as well. First, it was encouraging to hear about the record for iPhone upgraders, which I think is something you haven't said for about a year now. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about what you would attribute this upgrade strength to. Has Apple Intelligence played a role in helping upgrades in the markets that you've launched in? Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for the question. If you look at iPhone, we did set an all-time record for upgraders, so we've never seen a higher level of upgraders before. The install base hit a new all-time high as well. And if you look at the 16 compared to the 15 from launch, which occurred, as you know, in September, so this is across now 2 quarters from September to the end of the December fiscal quarter, the 16 outperformed the 15. And so I think you can conclude from that there are compelling reasons to upgrade. And in the markets where we had launched Apple Intelligence, they outperformed the markets that we did not. So
Great. Thank you, Tim.
Yeah, lots of good color there.
Great. Thank you, Tim. That's very clear. And then I had one about the iPad Pro M4, the thinner version. I was just wondering if you could talk about that thin form factor for the iPad Pro. How did it help iPad sales overall, and what did your kind of market and consumer research tell you about how consumers valued that thin product form factor? Thank you.
It's a good question. iPad overall grew 15% for the quarter, and it was more driven by iPad Air and the entry-level iPad than it was the top-level iPad. But overall, we could not be more pleased with the iPad category growing 15%. It's a great achievement for the quarter. And probably what is most important is that over half of the sales in the December quarter went to customers who were new to the iPad. So that tells us that there's a good amount of customers there to attract.
Thank you very much, Tim.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Operator, could we have the next question, please?
Our next question is from Amit Daryanani from Evercore. Please go ahead.
Yep. Good afternoon, everyone. I have two as well. Maybe to start with, you folks are seeing some very robust growth trends in emerging markets right now for Apple products. Can you just, at a high level, just talk about the durability of growth that you see in emerging markets? And then do you think the summation of these emerging markets are starting to get big enough or perhaps starting to grow fast enough that they can actually offset some of the China headwinds you're going through?
We have great results in a number of emerging markets. And as you know from past calls, I'm particularly keen on India. India set a December quarter record during the quarter. And we're opening more stores there. We've announced that we're going to open 4 new stores there. We also, the iPhone was the top selling model in India for the quarter. And it's the second largest smartphone market in the world and the third largest for PCs and tablets. And so there's a huge market. And we have very modest share in these markets. And so I think there's lots of upside there. And that's just one of the emerging markets.
Yeah, Tim, maybe I'll add, Amit, then emerging markets we're also seeing double-digit growth on the install base, both in total and for the iPhone as well. So that's also an encouraging sign.
Perfect. Thank you. And then, I guess just a question on gross margins for the March quarter. You folks are guiding gross margins flattish on a sequential basis. Typically, I think it tends to be guided up a little bit, 50 basis points, so sequentially. Can we just touch on what are the offsets of the puts and takes you see here on gross margins? And Kevin, maybe you can just talk about, is FX having an outsized impact in your margin profile as well in March?
Yeah, so let me take that one. As we mentioned in my remarks, we're guiding to 46.5% to 47.5%. So we think it's, we're very pleased with that level of guidance. As you mentioned, there's always puts and takes. We do think there's going to be some FX headwinds, which we talked about, that's going to affect, our revenue growth as well. Have an impact here on the margin, a sequential impact on margins. But we think that's going to be offset by, favorable costs and the relative mix of services. We also, as you know, when we move from Q1 to Q2, especially on the product side, because Q1 is such a large quarter for our products business, we do have, a loss of leverage. So there are some puts and takes, and I think, we feel good about the range. We think it's a very, very strong guide for gross margin.
Thanks, Amit. Operator, could we get the next question, please?
Our next question is from Wamsi Mohan with Bank of America. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much. Tim, I want to follow up on your comment about channel inventory in China. I was wondering if you could maybe address more broadly if channel inventory across your different product lines and regions, do you feel they're elevated or out of range in any other regions? And given the clearing event that kind of happened in China, I guess, in the quarter, should we think of a more normal progression quarter on quarter into the March quarter in China in particular? And I will follow.
Yeah, I don't want to project sales for the current quarter by region, but if you look at the channel inventory and look at iPhone in the aggregate, so on a worldwide basis, we're very comfortable with our channel inventory position. In China, my point was that our channel inventory reduced from the beginning of the quarter to the end of the quarter, and that was over half of the reduction in the reported results. And so if you look, part of the reason for that is that our sales were a bit higher than we forecasted them to be toward the end of the quarter. And so we ended a little leaner than we had expected to.
Okay, that's very clear. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And then maybe as my follow-up, your services growth has been very strong, and I know you've kind of been navigating some pretty challenging regulatory burdens on the business globally. So how should investors think about maybe either a top line or margin headwind that, let's say, you're currently absorbing in your results that could potentially maybe reverse in a more balanced regulatory environment? Thank you so much.
Yeah. So I think one, I just wanted to kind of reiterate the fact that, our services business at an all-time record for December quarter, up 14%. And that was one strength that we saw across all geographic segments, and also it was very broad-based across all of our services. So we have, as you know, a very broad services portfolio. And so we do see, good momentum across the board. And as well, we continue to see, increasing engagement across the customer base, across all of the service offerings, both transacting and paid accounts. We talked about, reaching all-time highs, and we have over now 1 billion paid subscriptions, across the services platform.
All right. Thanks, Wamsi. Operator, could we get the next question, please?
Our next question is from Samik Chatterjee with JP Morgan. Please go ahead.
Hi. Thanks for taking my questions. I guess for the first one, you had a great quarter on Macs and iPads both, and I'm just curious in terms of if you can help us think about the sustainability of this double-digit growth that you saw in both the product lines. And more interested also here, we are talking about Apple Intelligence sort of influencing volumes on iPhones, but any thoughts on sort of what does that influence look like in terms of volumes for Macs, for example, where I think there's a lot of conversation around AI PCs, how you're thinking about the impact there? And I have a quick follow-up. Thank you.
Yeah, if you look at Mac, Mac was up 16%, and on iPad we were up 15%. The Mac was driven by a very strong uptake on our new products during the quarter, and the continued success of the MacBook Air. And so, as you know, we launched an M4-based MacBook Pro, an iMac, and a Mac Mini during the quarter. We believe we've got the best AI PC out there for running workloads. The silicon in the Mac is and it has been for several years now, designed by us and really designed for these workloads. And so, but I don't want to project at the category level for the future, but we're incredibly pleased with both the Mac and the iPad for the quarter.
Okay. And Tim, I'm going to use your earlier discussion about India as a strong emerging market to sort of ask you about the supply chain planning there, in terms of how much of the supply chain planning there that you're doing is more of a reflection of the growth expectations from that market relative to in terms of more diversification of the supply chain, and how should we sort of think about that strategy relative to that particular country?
Yeah, if you look at the manufacturing we do there, we do manufacturing both for the domestic market and we export. And so in our business needs a certain economies of scale for it to make sense to manufacture in country. And so that really means that we're going to be both a use for the domestic market and an export market.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Samik. Operator, could we get the next question, please?
Our next question is from David Vogt with UBS. Please go ahead.
Great. Thanks, guys, for taking my question. So maybe, Tim, this is for you. I'm trying to think about your commentary around Apple Intelligence being sort of a momentum driver for the iPhone business. But when I think about your kind of framework for the March quarter, if I kind of adjust for channel inventory over the last couple of years, kind of feels like your iPhone revenue for the March quarter is going to be relatively similar to the quarter 2 years ago and even the quarter last year. So how do we square kind of the momentum versus kind of the iPhone business effectively really kind of unchanged over the last couple of years? And then second, when I think about kind of the gross margin profile of the business, obviously you've done a great job in taking gross margins up. Where do you think we sit in terms of, on the services side at least, where margins could go? It looks like, the 75% margin's been an incredibly successful quarter, but just trying to get a sense for where do you think this number could go over the intermediate term? Thank you.
Yeah, if you look at Apple Intelligence, what my point earlier was that markets where we had rolled out Apple Intelligence during the Q1 period performed better on a year-over-year basis than markets where we had not, and so that gives us it's a positive indicator that we were pleased with. There are many compelling reasons to upgrade. And the other thing I would say that I think I mentioned earlier is that if you look at it from a launch to the end of the December quarter, and so that goes back to September, the 16 family is outperforming the 15 family. And so I think those are two good data points. Our next round of language rollouts will be in April. And so it will be in our Q3 quarter. And I'll let Kevin take the gross margin question.
Yep, great. Hi, David. How are you? So on the services gross margin, I think maybe stepping back a second. Services business in general in aggregate is accretive to the overall company margin. And one of the things that's an important reminder is we have a very broad services portfolio. And those businesses have very different margin profiles. And so I think, one, it's because of the nature of those businesses, and in part also because of the way we account for them. And so one of the big factors that drives the services gross margins is the relative performance of those different businesses within the portfolio. We also have the dynamic of some scale businesses like payment services, iCloud, that are actually growing. And there, when we add incremental users, those end up being, accretive to margins as well. And so in general, what we saw in the December quarter was nice momentum across our entire services business that allows us to deliver, that 75% margin at the services level. And I think our guidance takes into consideration, what we think we're going to land from a company standpoint at 46.5 to 47.5, which again we think is a strong guide.
Great, thanks, guys.
All right, thank you, David. Operator, could we have the next question, please?
Our next question is from Krish Sankar with TD Cowen. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for taking my question. I also had two of them. One, the first one for Tim. You had very strong Mac growth, 16% year over year last quarter. Just wondering how much of that was driven by some of the Mac silicon innovation versus a replacement cycle for Macs?
I don't know the answer to your question precisely, but I think it is a combination of these products are so compelling. The M4 based products are so compelling that it's driving both upgrades at the double digit level, and it's driving switchers at a double digit level. And so we're seeing both come out, and I think it's just because of the compelling products.
Got it. Thanks to the Tim. And then a follow-up for Kevin on the gross margin. I want to ask you more on the product side. Last quarter you had 39.3%, which is very strong, similar to a year ago period. I'm kind of curious, how much more levels do you have on the product side to improve the gross margin, or do you think with some of the more new AI-related devices, there's more upside to gross margin from here on the product hardware side?
Yeah, thanks, Krish, for the question. So on the product side, as you mentioned, we had pretty strong sequential improvement, 300 basis points. For the December quarter, that was really driven by, we talked about favorable mix and leverage. As you know, in Q1, again, it's a launch quarter for many products, and so we tend to benefit from the leverage that we get from that higher volume. I would say in general, our gross margin for products is driven by a number of factors. One of them is the various product launches that we have. Different products do have different margin profiles, and so that mix does make a difference. And in particular, what we're seeing is, for example, many of our mixes across, like phone, for example, we're seeing customers gravitate towards our Pro products, because of things like affordability, that allows our customers to get into our best products, which have favorable gross margins. So we're continuing to see that trend, that impacted us in the December quarter as well. I think we're in a favorable commodity environment from a cost standpoint, and so we're benefiting from that as well in the December quarter. And then that's going to be, as we talked about, we're going to have a foreign exchange headwind heading into the March quarter. But we figured, that's contemplated in the guidance range that we gave of the 46.5 to 47.5%.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, Krish. Operator, could we get the next question, please?
Our next question is from Richard Kramer with Arete Research. Please go ahead.
Thanks very much. My first question is for Tim. I'd like to ask about what might accelerate the pace of Apple Intelligence adoption. I guess, do you see this simply as a question of time, i.e. to launch more markets and languages or increase the percentage of installed base devices that can support it? Or is it a question of money, i.e. shifting R&D or marketing spend towards AI? And based on other prior Apple services, do you expect a sort of tipping point where adoption will go mainstream? Thanks.
I do believe it will go mainstream. I'm getting feedback from people using different features today. And this is, keep in mind that on the iPhone side of our business, you either have to have an iPhone 15 Pro or iPhone 16 to use Apple Intelligence. And so as that base grows, I think the usage will continue to grow. And I think I know from my own personal experience, once you start using the features, you can't imagine not using them anymore. I know I get hundreds of emails a day, and the summarization function is so important. So I think it's a combination of that. And of course, in April, we roll out a whole series of new languages that we had mentioned. And so the base grows further.
Okay, thank you. And then Kevin, one of Luca's legacies was really getting Apple to record margin levels and also maintaining very consistent pricing across the product range. But taking the current high levels of profitability as fairly stable, what observations might you share about price sensitivity of users and whether having a wider range of pricing across the products might unlock potentially further market share gains or boost overall product growth?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, one, I don't think we're going to really depart from what served us pretty well to now. I mean, we always take into consideration, looking at short-term comparisons between the short-term and the long-term. I think we've had a pretty disciplined pricing strategy, which has served us pretty well. And I think we're going to continually kind of stick with that as far as I can tell.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Richard. Operator, could we get the next question, please?
Our next question is from Atif Malik with Citi. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you for taking my question. How do you guys see the potential tariff impact to your products or consumer demand under Trump 2.0? You guys did fine under Trump 1.0.
We are monitoring the situation and don't have anything more to add than that.
Great. And Tim, as a follow-up, there is a lot of discussion on agentic AI, the use of agents. Do you guys see the upgraded Siri expected in April as something that will, let's say, be the killer application among the suite of features that you have announced on Apple Intelligence?
I think the killer feature is different for different people. But I think for most, they're going to find that they're going to use many of the features every day. And certainly one of those is Siri, and that will be coming over the next several months.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Atif. Operator, could we please get the last question?
Our last question is from Ben Ballin from Cleveland Research Company. Please go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for taking the question. Tim, I'm interested in your thoughts in how you would have us think about the average useful life of these devices in the wild. And in particular, curious if you look at the strength you saw in fiscal 21 and how that might support accelerated refresh opportunity into the future.
Yeah, Ben, I think it's different for different types of users. I mean, you have very early adopter kind of users that are very quick to jump on the latest technology, that upgrade very frequently. And then you have people that are on the entire opposite side of that barbell. And most people are between those two points. And so I do think there were lots of units that are sold during the COVID period of time, and it's a huge opportunity for us as a company for more than one of the product categories.
That's it for me. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Ben. I guess that's it. A replay of today's call will be available for 2 weeks on Apple Podcasts or as a webcast on apple.com/investor and via telephone.
All right, guys, so that is it for the Apple earnings call. Yeah, I don't know who was managing that one. They're just kind of like, okay, that's it. Okay. But yeah, guys, hey, y'all be good. Apple up on their earnings report. They beat EPS, beat revenue, had their strongest quarterly EPS and revenue ever. Guidance was good, it sounded like, at the end of that call, so they're up some from it. Let me know what you guys thought, guys. Let me know what you guys thought. With that said, though, guys, hey, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Again, if you want to check out Top Step, help support our channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. I appreciate the love. Thanks so much, guys. A lot of nice words today. I appreciate you guys. Somebody made a Cheddar John, by the way, so shout out to that guy. It's pretty funny. But yeah, hey, listen, y'all be good. Tomorrow we have personal consumption expenditure inflation data. PCE inflation is what it's called, core PCE. We're going to stream it as soon as it drops, have thousands of people here at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time tomorrow morning. So subscribe, hit the notification bell. Again, if you want to check out Top Step, if you want to learn to day trade, most day traders lose. Do not fund your own account. You'll probably lose whatever you fund it. Instead, try a funded account program. If you lose, you're out $50 on Top Step for the base one. It's a $50K funded account. If you pass it, 90% split, similar to funding your own account, just noticeably less risk, in my opinion. And a great way to learn how to day trade. Use Top Step X for 0 commissions as well. But again, they're an affiliate of mine. They pay me money. I am biased because of it. Understand all these rules, understand all this stuff. I can't guarantee anything. You want to confirm it all with them. And yeah, again, a bunch of economic data coming out tomorrow. Understand all this stuff on screen. And most day traders lose, guys. Remember, 95% of day traders lose. So you'll probably lose, but it's a lot cheaper to lose on Top Step, and Top Step gives you a lot of tools to make you better at day trading. So anyways, hey, I love you all. You'll have a great day. Good luck. We'll see you guys tomorrow bright and early. PCE inflation data tomorrow live, 8:30. Subscribe. I'll see you guys then.